We now turn to a different scene, where a lone figure stands alone in the pouring rain. She looks around the place, commenting that the erosion was progressing and that this place was hopeless. Looking down at something near her, she notices a black plant, looking stranger than any other plants there. As she aims her staff towards the plant, the scene changes to a hammer knocking into nails on wooden boards. Hui was repairing the walls of the church due to damages caused by the bad rain. Another adventurer bringing in supplies noted that recently, the grass and trees in the garden had increased too. The sister apologizes for getting their help, but the adventurers assure her that it was fine since they grew up together. They even talked about how thanks to art, the roof was able to handle the rain damage, but as they did, our boy made his appearance, alongside Flavoric and Wenty. Both Hui and Art were surprised to see one another here. After chatting together, Art discovers that the adventures were from this orphanage, which was why they came here often and donated part of their rewards here. The sister mentions that their support was invaluable, but as she turns to Art, she questions him on where Lady Urk was. Art reveals that Urk wasn't feeling well as we turn to her. Looking far into the distance, Urk was reminded of the past, where Art had discovered her listening on to the conversation between Art and Wenty. After separating, Art was apologizing to Urk for his sudden actions which caused her to worry. After hearing that Urk reveals to him that she was, after hearing about where he was going from her grandfather. Art tries to tell her that at first he didn't plan on going, but then he couldn't stay put, after knowing that someone who once helped him was in trouble. Seeing how worried she was, Art reassures Urk that he was simply doing this as part of his duty. After all, he was still her butler. Back in the present, Art continues to tell everyone that Urk was sleeping, but in truth, he knew that she hadn't forgiven the two people he had brought along. After hearing that from Art, the sister was curious about who he had brought along. Art introduces them as the merchant Flavoric and his former master Wenty. The adventurers seemed to know who she was. They gave Wenty the bombastic side eye, causing her to feel uncomfortable. The sister could sense what they were doing and told them to stop, welcoming Wenty and Flavoric to their humble orphanage. With a bright smile on her face, she attracts the attention of Flavoric instantly, as he calls her simply beautiful. Wenty on the other hand was deep in thought, before telling everyone that she had committed many sins, going against Art and the others. She declares to them with a determined look on her face that coming here was part of her atonement, as her purpose here was to redeem herself for the rest of her life. The adventurers turned off their side eyes while the sister and Art were happily smiling upon hearing Wenty's new conviction. In return, Wenty reveals to everyone that Flavoric was actually someone who tried to ruin Art, a fraud basically. He was shocked to hear that from her and immediately turned his face away from the adventurers who were now giving him the bombastic side eye. Standing in front of the altar, the sister calls upon Wenty and Flavoric's names, announcing to them that their sins will never disappear, but in the name of their god Drad, all sins are forgiven. And so, she declared that everyone should clean themselves up first so they could have a meal. With that, she asks Art for a favor, in building a hot spring. After building it, everyone came out sparkling and fresh. Art even asks Wenty how she was feeling after using it, but as usual she blushes and doesn't tell him the truth. The sister's attention was caught by something. She realized that all the snacks she had prepared had been eaten by the children. The only thing they had left was something called no rice, which Art wondered if he could use. But Hui warns him that this kind of rice wasn't something that they could eat. Hearing that, Art assures him that there was a delicious way to prepare it, which apparently Wenty and him knew about as she smiled widely at Art's suggestion. In a few minutes, Art was hammering something long and sticky with a wooden hammer. He explains to everyone that this was something he had discovered in foreign literature, a cooking method that wasn't widely known. All the kids and adults were curious about it, all wanting to give it a try. As Wenty watches from afar, a little girl pulls on her gown, looking up at her with shining eyes. She asks Wenty if they could try it together. But Wenty declines the offer, saying she was fine, but everyone else could see what she really wanted. So they started to tease her, telling Wenty that the mochi was getting cold and that they should do it together. That's when Art uses his Riz mode, offering his hand to her. He tells her that they should do it together. Seeing this, Wenty starts to change, as she realizes that she still has a place in this world, so she rushes towards everyone, joining them in creating the sweet and delicious mochi. After some time, the mochi was done and everyone took a bite of it happily. Wenty was a different type of beast. Instead of taking small bites, she was devouring the mochi like an animal, catching the attention of Art and Flavoric. But upon closer inspection, Wenty was actually crying while eating the mochi. The sight of her tears flooding down her face catches everyone's attention. They all gave her comforting words to cheer her up, But Wenty assures them that her tears weren't those of sadness, instead they were of joy as she thought that she would never be able to eat Art's cooking again. Art couldn't help but smile after hearing those words from Wenty, so he went to her, placing his hand on her back, and assuring her that he would come back again to cook for her. While Flavoric was watching the two of them, the sounds of someone happily chomping down on their mochi caught his attention as he turned around to see who it was. A new character is introduced. A small girl with dark skin wearing a hood was eating the mochi behind everyone. It turns out that this little girl was called Rain, the little sister of the sister. Art went on to introduce himself to her, but Rain stared at our boy directly in his face, taking her time to look all around Art with her tiny steps. She commented that Art's magical power was immense and unfathomable. The sister reveals that Rain was able to sense the magical elements in others. Rain continues on with her comment, telling Art that his magical powers were still shallow. Art started to sense something off about Rain, other than her mysterious aura that he could feel. He could sense that there was something deep, like the deep sea within a tiny girl like Rain. The sister could feel the strange tension between them, so she punches Rain's head, apologizing for her behavior. She also reveals to everyone that Rain was also known as the Rainwater Magician, immediately catching the attention of the adventurer beside them. Everyone amongst the adventurers knew about the legendary S-rank adventurer that Rain is. The adventurers also knew her as the Sage of Water. There were even rumors about her accepting missions to destroy monsters for sweets once, as she has a sweet tooth. Art was taken aback by how amazing Rain was, while Flavoric couldn't believe that they would meet her here like this. But to the kids belonging to the orphanage, the rumors of Rain meant nothing to them as they pulled both her cheeks. Soon enough, Rain found herself in the middle of a brawl with the kids. As the others watched, Wenty found it hard to believe that the Rain fighting with the kids right now was the same one from the rumors. After the kids tired themselves out, the sister was curious about why Rain was here this time. She reveals to them, in a tired state, that she was on a journey, chasing after a certain monster, and just happened to be nearby. After hearing that, Art was curious about the type of monster she was hunting. With a serious face this time, Rain reveals its name to be Xwood. Art thought of a cute monster upon hearing that name, while Flavoric was going through his memories as he had heard about it before. Wenty, on the other hand, commented that they should just leave it alone, which Rain found insulting. As the sister tries to comfort Rain, Flavoric suddenly remembers exactly what Xwood was. But before he could tell everyone, a kid from the orphanage spotted something weird near them. The sister looked at it, and noted that she didn't remember planting such a seed here. But Rain knew exactly what it was. It was Xwood's seed.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.